Hi, this is a Snickers bar. You've probably eaten one of these, or several. No judgment, it's just a chocolate. What you probably don't know is that before this thing landed on a store shelf, it went through an industrial process so absurdly complex, it makes most things in your life look straightforward. Today, we're going from nothing to Snickers. The full story, starting with the single most unhinged decision in candy bar history. Let's start with the part nobody thinks about. The name in 1930. A man named Frank Mars invents a new candy bar, chocolate, caramel, peanuts, and nougat all stacked together like some kind of edible Jenga tower. He needs a name. Does he name it after his company? No. His family? No. He names it after the family's favorite horse. A horse named Snickers. A horse that, as far as historical records show, never consented to this and never received a single cent in royalties. Nearly a century later, it's the best-selling candy bar on Earth. The horse is still just a horse that died a while ago. That's the legacy. Most Snickers bars, and I mean most, like 65% of every bar sold in the US, come out of one single factory in Waco, Texas. The other 35% come from a handful of backup facilities around the country, basically. The regional understudies. This one building produces enough Snickers bars that if you tried to count them, you'd give up before lunch. Let's go inside. It starts with cocoa beans. They get deshelled, roasted, then ground into a paste with sugar and milk powder. Standard chocolate territory so far. But here's the twist: Snickers. Chocolate has extra cocoa butter and lecithin mixed in, which raises its melting point. Translation: it can survive your hand for about 10 minutes. But the moment it hits your tongue, it collapses instantly. It's not weakness, it's engineering. They go into a 150-foot oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes and come out smelling like every corner store that ever existed. While the peanuts are roasting, somebody's making caramel in an 800-pound vat corn syrup, butter, condensed milk, sugar, salt, cooked in a vacuum kettle at around 250 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes, watched like it's the most important thing in the building. Because it is. Right before it's done, they add vanilla extract and an emulsifier to keep it smooth. One overcooked batch, and the whole thing turns into a chewy mistake instead of a snack. The stakes here are objectively unreasonable for a candy bar. Then there's the nougat. Corn syrup. Sugar, salt water heated to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, then whipped together with beaten egg whites. Yes, egg whites. The fluffy center of this chocolate bar shares a base ingredient with a meringue. Nobody puts that on the wrapper. It gets cooked again up to 270 degrees Fahrenheit and has to land in a very narrow window of firm but still chewy. Too soft and it falls apart. Too firm and it's a chocolate-coated brick. And humidity in the air can throw off the entire batch. The existence of every Snickers bar on Earth depends in part on the weather. No pressure. Once the nougat's ready, it gets mixed with peanut butter, rides an elevated conveyor belt across the top of the factory because apparently nougat is too good for the ground floor, and gets pressed flat between two rollers, chilled to 24 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, the caramel and peanuts get combined in a giant rotating screw, then flattened on a rotating drum, chilled to the same 24 degrees Fahrenheit. Everyone in this factory is deeply committed to keeping things cold, except for the finished product, which you will absolutely leave sitting in a hot car sometime this week. The caramel peanut layer gets laid onto the nougat, pressed into a single slab, and sent through a cooling tunnel at 65 degrees Fahrenheit to firm up. Then, this is the moment it stops being a giant candy continent and becomes actual bars. A machine with 19 rotating blades slices the slab into 38 strips, and a second set of blades chops those into individual 4.5-inch bars. So technically, before it was a Snickers, it was 1/38th of a much larger Snickers. We don't talk about the siblings. Each bar passes through a bottom enrober that coats the underside, then a top enrober that covers it completely. This is the exact moment it stops looking like a lab experiment and starts looking like something worth buying. Then it goes over, vibrating grates to smooth out the surface and pop any air bubbles, and finally under a roller that presses the signature swirl on top. Yes, that swirl is intentional. Someone's entire job is to make sure every Snickers bar has that swirl. One more cooling tunnel, and then wrapping at up to 1,000 bars per minute. That's 16 bars every second. Right now, while you're watching this, somewhere in Texas, a factory is producing Snickers bars faster than you can think about it. From their stores, vending machines, airports, supermarkets across more than 70 countries, one bar at a time. So that's L'Ultra Snickers bar, a horse's name. 21 acres of peanuts a day, egg white nougat that loses its mind in humid weather. Enough cold machinery to make a penguin feel at home, also you can eat it in 4 bites and forget any of this happened. next time we do the same thing to a different product. Subscribe so you don't miss it.